Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. And hey, really quick, guys, we are at 385 subscribers. Guys, that's 15 subscribers away from hitting 400. I know that might not sound like a lot. That's a lot. So let's try to get us to 400. Please, 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 please. Okay, what if the impossible was only one miracle away? Well, in the lonely gray town of Baltese, where the sky is always clouded and people have forgotten how to hope, a young boy asks a fortune teller one single question: how can I find my sister? The answer he receives is as ridiculous as it is breathtaking. Follow the elephant. Well, today we're stepping through the mist and into the world of The Magician's Elephant. From its groundbreaking debut at the Royal Shakespeare Company to its spectacular US premiere in Sandy, Utah, we're going to explore how this modern fairy tale was brought to life on the stage. The Magician's Elephant is a musical with book and lyrics by Nancy Harris and music and lyrics by Mark Teitler. Now, based on the 2009 children's novel of the same name, the musical is set in the fictional dreary town of Baltese, a place still reeling from the shadows of a great war where nothing extraordinary ever happens. The story follows Peter Duchesne, a young orphan living in a disciplined, joyless life under the care of an old soldier. Driven by the hope that his sister Adele is still alive, Peter consults a mysterious fortune teller, giving him a cryptic prophecy: follow the elephant. Now, the creative journey of The Magician's Elephant is as much about the magic of collaboration as it is about the literal magic on this stage. Developed over 5 years, the musical faced the monumental task of turning a quiet philosophical fable into a large-scale theatrical spectacle. But in order to build a living miracle, the team led by Nancy Harris and Mark Teitler aimed to create a sung-through tapestry where music and story were pretty much inseparable. Teitler gave every character a distinct musical theme, leaning more toward a musical theater meets opera style to capture the story's epic fairy tale scale. Now, to address the literal elephant in the room, the star of the show was actually a life-sized puppet designed by Mervyn Millar and Tracy Waller. They didn't want a generic jumbo. They designed a young female African elephant that looked vulnerable and displaced. The puppet was actually crafted from aluminum, plywood, and a specialized heat-melted plastic that mimicked the texture of its wrinkled skin. It required 3 puppeteers inside to operate, and the design process began with deep dives into elephant psychology and anatomy, ensuring that the puppet didn't just move, but it breathed and reacted with thought. Now, the show was originally slated for 2020, but was postponed, as we know, for a full year due to the pandemic. While a setback, the team used the lockdown bonus of elastic deadlines to spend 18 months perfecting the costume and the puppet designs. In order to eventually stage the impossible, director Sarah Triple had to find a way to make the elephant's arrival, crashing through an opera house roof, feel grounded yet pretty miraculous. Well, after the pandemic, the 2021 Royal Shakespeare Company production was a landmark moment, not just for the show itself, but for the British theatre industry, as it marked the grand reopening of the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in Stratford-upon-Avon. The production featured a mix of rising stars and theater veterans, many of whom had deep roots with the RSC, including a rising star in the West End most recently seen in the revival of Next to Normal, Mr. Jack Wolfe, a West End and veteran with high fashion flair and powerful soprano vocals, Miss Summer Strawling. Now, the show was generally well received, typically earning 4-star reviews. There was praise for the spectacular puppetry, the atmospheric lighting by Oliver Fenwick, and the spellbinding performances of the younger cast members. However, some critics felt the show's 2-hour and 40-minute runtime, which is quite a bit, was a bit longer for younger children, and while the music was stirring, some found the individual songs less catchy than traditional musical theater hits. Now, though this story was written and adapted before 2020, its themes took on a profound new weight when it finally did premiere. The fictional town of Baltese is a community recovering from war, living in a perpetual gloom. Critics and creators alike noted how closely this mirrored a world emerging from the trauma of a global pandemic. In a world that often feels cynical, the show's central question, what if, why not, could it be, serves as a reminder that belief is a choice that can transform a community. The power lies in the hope. Now, as for environmental empathy, the creators highlighted the story's profound respect for the animal world, framing the elephant's journey as a timely message about how we treat creatures that we don't understand. Now, although it wasn't Broadway, the musical did make its United States premiere at the Hale Center Theater in Sandy, Utah during their 2024 season. Now, this was a massive undertaking for a regional theater, as they were the first to produce the show after its original Royal Shakespeare Company debut. Now, while the Royal Shakespeare version had its own design, the Sandy production featured a brand new majestic elephant puppet created by the same New York studio that worked on Broadway's Water for Elephants and The Lion King. Now, critics noted it was incredibly impressive, with moving eyes and a trunk that felt truly alive. Jen Taylor used the theater's advanced automation using its lifts and rotating stages to create the town of Baltese, complete with cobblestone streets and a rising castle. The production itself received glowing reviews locally, though critics echoed some of the original London sentiments. The praise came in the form of the technical elements, specifically the lighting and projections, by Jaron Hermanson, and they were called mesmerizing and exceptional. The puppet was universally cited as the star of the show. However, the critique came in the form of the book, where some reviewers felt that it was slightly overstuffed with side characters, making the plot feel a bit long for a family show, and noted that the songs were more atmospheric than they were catchy. Well, as of 2025-2026, The Magician's Elephant has moved beyond the Royal Shakespeare Theatre Company. It is now available for licensing through Music Theatre International, meaning that local theaters and schools are now bringing this story of real magic to their own communities. At its heart, guys, The Magician's Elephant tells us that things don't have to stay the way they've always been. Just because a town is gray doesn't mean it can't find its color. Just because a boy is alone doesn't mean he can't find family. As the show reminds us, magic is always possible, but it helps if you're looking for it. Whether you were lucky enough to see the life-size puppet in Stratford-upon-Avon, or you're waiting for a production to land in your city, the message remains the same. Keep your eyes on the horizon. If you enjoyed our little journey into Baltese today, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with your fellow theater lovers. You can also find the original cast recording on all streaming platforms, and trust us, it's a journey worth taking. Until next time, guys, keep believing in the impossible. Take care.